Hello, and welcome to episode 126 of the Book Binge. This week, I outline my general TBR and reading plans for 2024. Now, what this is not a definite, I will be reading these things in 2024, just general ideas of what I would like to get through. There were a couple of things that I said in the equivalent video of this that I did last year for 2023 that didn't get done, some things that did get done that I hadn't actually anticipated ahead of time, and some, simple changes of plans, things getting pushed back and moved around, some things that got started but not finished, the whole shebang. This year, I'm going to be doing generally the same thing, but going to try a lot better at keeping my word with it, because there were a lot of things that I said I was going to do or really planned to do that did not happen. Many of those things I address in this video. Let's go ahead and start off with how much I plan to read, generally speaking. Now, if you follow me for a little while, or if you happen to follow my Goodreads, you might notice that my 2022 and 2023 reading both reached barely between 40 to 45 books, and a lot of the reason for that, especially in 2023, was because of really short books thrown in between or alongside all of the really long ones, and occasionally some like YA books that I used as rereads or as palate cleansers occasionally. So I don't read very much. I've said it a million times at this point. It's kind of like, the meme at this point, things that I say too much, the things that some people might get annoyed by me mentioning in every video if they happen to watch every video is I read really slow. So I don't get that many books read. So truth be told, my reading goal for 2024 is somewhere around 30 books. I actually said the same thing last year, 30 to 35 books for 2023. I managed to beat that only because of a bunch of really short books. This year, I'm thinking I will not get above 35. I would be very surprised if I got above 35. So that's basically my goal, is somewhere between 30 and 35 again, which is, basically 3 books a month, maybe 2 every once in a while, just on average, considering how long some of the things I read are. I think that's a fair enough goal, but I also want to say a little bit of the reason behind this change as well, this year especially, is because in the middle of last year, my work schedule changed, and back before that changed, I went from having consistently, 3 to 5 hours of reading time, 5 to 7 days a week, to only having maybe 2 to 4 hours of reading time, maybe 4 days a week. Obviously, that is a significant drop in my reading time. It's a little bit disheartening and disappointing, but I kind of have to do what I can with what I have for the time being. As such, this time is not like, I plan to read this in 2024. This is just a very tentative TBR, very undecided for the most part, but let's start off with some series I would like to read this year. Now, that series way up there, Wheel of Time, I did start that in 2023 just as I had planned, and I planned to get between 4 and 5 of the books read in 2023, which I did. I read the first 4 of those books. Now, based off of the schedule that I was following, for that, people might assume that I'll read another 4 to 5, maybe even 6 books this year. That's not going to happen. I'm only planning to read books 5 and 6, so Fires of Heaven and Lord of Chaos, and then New Spring in between them way over there this year. That is what I plan to get through in Wheel of Time. As we kind of push a little bit further in this video, you'll kind of understand a little bit of why. I would also like to continue Faithful in the Fallen. I don't plan to read the rest of that series this year, but because I read Malice last year, I would at least like to get through Valor this year. And if I happen to read one Faithful in the Fallen book a year or something like that, I would still finish it around the same time as Wheel of Time, so that actually would be, quite entertaining. But I would like to continue with that series because I was a bit disappointed with Malice, but I do still have interest in reading the rest of the series as is. Another thing I do want to get through, because I started my reread of Heroes of Olympus by Rick Riordan, which I don't have any books to actually show you over here of. They're over there, and I don't feel like grabbing them right now. I had planned to read that entire series as a reread last year for palate cleansers, and I got through the first couple of them in April and May when I was reading a bunch of really short and easy and nostalgic reread books anyway. So I didn't actually get to read the rest of the series over the year. I just didn't ever have time to fit it in. I do plan to fit the rest of that series in this year. There's only a couple series that I really plan to start. One of these is more tentative. I won't feel bad if I don't get to it. That is the 39 Clues, both the first series and maybe even the Cahills versus Vesper series, as again palette cleansers that even I could read in 1 or 2 mornings. The reason I want to reread those is because they're really short, and I remember really loving them, and I want to see how I feel about them now that it's been several years since the last time I read them. And like I said, because they could be read in 1 or 2 mornings, it would be nice to have a book every once in a while that I can just pick up and be done with in a weekend. That would be really nice. Otherwise, the other inclusion here, I, again, don't think I have anything to show off. I guess I do. A surprising inclusion that I have already started, the Border Trilogy by Cormac McCarthy, which I am currently doing. I've already read this first book in the trilogy, and I'll be doing the next couple books over the next couple months. So that was a surprising inclusion of something that I had absolutely no plans to read before last year or even this year, was McCarthy as an author, but that kind of happened. How about some standalones that I plan to read? Well, most of the standalones that I wanted to read in 2023 did not happen. So I'm going to be trying that again this year and actually trying to do some of it. A few of those being Stephen King, which I have on this shelf down here. You can't really see it, but I have a few other books down there. I want to start off with getting actually a handful of Stephen King books read. Same thing with Michael Crichton, which I don't think you can see. Yeah, they're on a shelf down there, but I would actually like to continue Michael Crichton this time, since I haven't read any Michael Crichton since 2022, and even then I only read technically just one book by him, so it's been a little while. I would like to do that. I also want to throw in a little bit of Tim Powers, a recommendation from Christopher Rocchio. I have read one of his books, not necessarily one of the books that I was specifically recommended, but I have started with him. I would like to get through at least a few more of those this year. And then there are some more general things, so nothing that really fits as like specific authors. There are a few classics and literary fiction that I would like to get through as I'm interested. The two main ones of those that I want to point out as like the ones that I will be reading this year being East of Eden by John Steinbeck. In fact, I'll probably be doing that in February. I might be able to start it over the back end of January. It depends on how the schedule goes. And Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace, a book that I plan to spend basically the entire summer reading, being my primary read. A lot of the reason why Wheel of Time won't have as much done is because Infinite Jest is like my read for the summer, and that's what I plan to make it. So that will be taking a lot of my time and brain power. There are also a few other random ones that I plan to do as I'm interested. I'll just go ahead and grab a couple of them here. Actually, I don't even know where the other one is, but I would like to get to a random book called Lord of Dark Places, a favorite of several of my friends. That one is a little bit of a darker satire book that I would like to read somewhere around October or so. And maybe at some point I'll also pick up another personal friend's one of his favorites, A Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Murakami. Just a couple random standalones that maybe it's like, if I feel the desire to read it on a whim, I'll pick it up on a whim just as a random standalone, because, you know, shorter books as standalones is not something that I do enough. So that's kind of what the purpose of those for. Maybe I'll try to fit in a couple of short mangas through the year and kind of start like easing into that kind of territory. Rest assured, this will never become a manga channel, but I would like to try some of those just for the sake of trying some personal favorites from some friends, and especially from one friend, Breen, who has talked to me about this kind of stuff and has made some recommendations based approximately on what you think I might enjoy, and aside from being his personal favorites, so things like Goodbye Eri and Uzumaki I do want to try. Goodbye Eri I'm pretty certain I'll do this year, since it's literally just one volume and I have it right down there. But those are some of the standalone plans. If there's anything else that I have that I would like to talk about, or at least that I would like to get through, I've mentioned already, I believe I've already mentioned in this video, H.P. Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe, reading some of their short stories, probably 1 or 2 from each of them each month. as well as throwing in a couple other authors like William Hope Hodgson that I would like to fit in this. I have a new series on the channel that I'm going to be doing this year called Short Story Sundays, where every other Sunday, opposite of Fortnight on the Isle, I'll be covering short stories. So Poe and Lovecraft and Hodgson and some other authors fit in there. I've already started reading a couple of Poe and Lovecraft stories at this point. So that is rather exciting for me, considering this was also one of those things that I wanted to include in 2023, but just didn't make happen. What didn't make the cut for this video? Well, there are a few things, most of them series related or just really long standalone stuff. So there are a few other books that I would like to get to and try this year, especially where classics are concerned, but I just have no idea whether I'll be able to fit them in. But a couple series that I want to note that I did not make happen for my reading plans because with everything else I have planned to read, I'm not going to be able to make time for, say, the Lonesome Dove series. So the Cowboy Quartet, as my friends call it, by Larry McMurtry. There's the Light Trilogy, or whatever it's called, I forget, by Matthew Ward back there that I really want to give a shot. Like I said, I would like to continue with Faithful and Fallen, but I doubt I'll finish it. So there are some things that I would have liked to plan for the year, but generally just don't feel confident in doing so. Maybe things will happen. It's just a matter that I've planned a lot of my big long-term reads for the year already, and I want the rest of that reading time that I managed to have throughout the months and whenever I just have moments to be able to read shorter books, palate cleansers, easier books, random standalones from authors that I've wanted to get to a little bit more, like King and Crichton, etc. Just stuff that I want to be able to mood read, pick up as like, okay, what's a standalone I can fit over this weekend because I don't have anything else really pressing going on. Let's just pick up a random book by this author that I want to try. That's something I want to do more of in 2024 after 2023 was a bit stressful with the planning and 2022 was very rigid with the planning. I liked my reading in 2022, but 2023 definitely got to me a little bit, so I want to palate cleanse. But I've been repeating myself a little bit. I've been rambling for a little bit now as well. That's basically the idea of what I have for my year, what I would like to get to, kind of my ideas for the TBR. Obviously, as you continue to follow the channel, if you do, each month I do a reading wrap-up and TBR video where I outline what I read and what I plan to read each month specifically. So if you want to know how well I'm actually following along with this, you can watch those videos and you can totally, kind of make fun of me for adding things that I didn't include in this video. But like I said, this thing isn't set in stone, so I'm not too worried about it either way. But thank you guys for watching this video. If you did, coming on, oh man, what day does this video come out? On the 16th, so in a couple days, I think. So yeah, in a couple days, my 2023 reading tier list video. I believe it's the second one of those videos will be coming out, so continuing that series. But next week, I have another special video in being my review for Return to a Dam by Philip Chase, and the next week after that will be my discussion video with Philip Chase. So those are a couple exciting things that came about because of my 2023 reading. But like I said, thank you guys for watching this video. I'll be back again, just as always, in the next one.